All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a little bit of a wait, but thank you so much for your patience. We are back, and this time we're gonna have ourselves another best of three quarters finals. Literal Monkeys taking on the Tortugas. I had the honor and opportunity to cast both of these teams yesterday in the groups stage. Both of them having lots of pros and cons overall. They really love to fight. And I got to say, I have some real faith in Literal Monkeys that they are going to be making these games look hype because they were consistently looking for fights every time an opportunity came their way. They were willing to jump right on in. Let's go. Oh, apparently we are waiting for a moment on one of these teams. Somebody has not responded yet, so that's fine. I jumped the gun a little bit, but that is quite all right. Welcome back, Smartest, as well as the duocaster for this best of 3 series. Hold on. Nope. I thought I unmuted you, but apparently, no, you muted yourself. This is not on my fault. This is not on my side anymore. NA production, not on me.
I was getting all hyped up because you were like, I have the honor. I had the honor, something like that. I was like, oh, is it gonna be like the cast with Smartest? Is it gonna be like?
No. That's not an honor.
No.
It is an absolute privilege, and it is seriously though. Last best of 3, your hype was nuts, and I cannot wait to get more of it for this game. So.
No one brings the hype like the Kelton.
No one brings the... Well, I don't know, man. I think there's some...
That was a big step back. You're right. No, wait a second.
Every day, I hope to aspire to be Captain Flowers. Honest to goodness.
Oh, true.
Nothing whatsoever. Every time I hear Captain Flowers cast, I'm like, dear Lord, he is the absolute best play-by-play caster in the world, and I cannot... I would kiss his feet if I ever had the opportunity to meet him in real life. But we are into the Pro Draft picks and bans. As always, I want to make a quick note for those of you that are watching these games. The picks and bans on Pro Draft can sometimes be a little bit funky. If something errors and one of these champions is not correct, we will let you know. Otherwise, assume, for the most part, that the champions... Oh, just like this. The blank one that you're seeing on the side of Literal Monkeys right now, that blue square, is going to be Draven. That is an error out. That is Draven supposed to be banned away. So both teams taking down a lot of ADCs and now a couple supports as well. This is something we saw from yesterday's groups games as well. They loved to ban away the bottom side of the map, and we're getting that again.
And it was interesting because, last set, we also saw the impact the ADC brought, right? We saw how much of an impact the Sivir had. So it's pretty interesting to see this time all of the focus being on the bot lane from both sides. 100% ban rate in the bot lane so far.
And we'll see how things continue to progress. Now that we've gotten through the bottom side ban phase, apparently nobody's getting a chance to play the main top tier ADCs and supports, though that Leona support is something that we don't see a lot of in normal play. However, the Tortugas did play it one game yesterday. They might have played it more off stream, but at least out of the games that I casted, they only played it one time, still pinching that away. And the Nautilus for Literal Monkeys was huge. Great CC, good little bit of extra damage as well. The guaranteed ultimate is so nice, and they're going to grab that as the first pick for support for the side of Literal Monkeys.
And Nautilus is such a good pickup because it's also a flex pick, right? Though it's a little bit nerfed now, it is still a viable flex pick in all 3, or well, not all 3, the 3 roles of support, top, and still mid lane, right? Braum is a pretty decent answer to Nautilus because when Nautilus goes in, Braum can counter with basically an instant stun. But I like so far that they're drafting these sort of really heavy CC compositions, especially when LLM went, okay, we're going to throw the Nautilus at you and the J4. Well, I guess only Nautilus was known at the time. And TT responded and said, you know what? We're going to bring Sejuani and Braum great counter-engage options. So I really think that so far, TT has responded to everything or more specifically, has the tools they need to counter draft-wise what LM has so far. Ezreal is a pretty expected pickup as well, right? Kaisa being banned away, Ezreal being his next best character, Draven also being banned away. So, I mean, I think Ezreal Braum are going to have a pretty safe lane. Not going to have to worry too much about the Nautilus engages. The Ornn ban is interesting, though.
Yeah, so the Ornn is interesting, but it was not surprising for us to watch the games yesterday. Literal Monkeys, their top laner, Quest for Ions, showed up in 2 games with that Ornn, absolutely decimating. Not only could he win in the 1v1s, but also was able to roam around the map, make those TP plays with the Call of the Forge God. Impressive team fighter and impressive soloist. So taking those major picks off of people, making sure that they're having to play something that they might be not as comfortable on, and we get the Zed picked up. And considering the side of Literal Monkeys has not picked an ADC yet, we got another ADC ban from the Tortugas, taking away the Ashe as well. The Ezreal I like from the Tortugas because they did want to grab an ADC, and before the pool got pinched even more in the second ban phase. And Ezreal, pretty darn safe. He can just farm away, wait for his 2-item power spike, and then even though he's all skill based when it comes to landing those skill shots, it's a pretty safe pick overall for most ADCs.
Yeah, and I like the fact that Elm also took away the Zoe from Grey Anatomy here. I think that's a pretty crucial point to make there, because it is also not only is Zoe such a powerful pick, it's a contested pick right now. So the Lux does get picked up. Now, the one thing though with the Ornn though is, even if there's a sort of a proficiency on a certain player to play Ornn, if you're taking Braum, I think, someone who innately counters Ornn, can get rid of the GOAT. I think maybe looking more towards a ban onto someone who can sort of disrupt sort of composition you have, like a Varus or something like that, is something more that I would like to see them look towards.
We'll see if that's the way they decide to go. We've still got another 20 seconds. They are going to grab the Varus on the Literal Monkeys, a great CC champion, and can be played off of with the Zoe and the Nautilus. Talking about each member of the team from Literal Monkeys, bringing a little bit of that crowd control. The ultimate from Varus can either be used to initiate a fight if they see an opportunity, but considering its short range, more often than not can be used to add on to CC that somebody else is bringing. Nautilus throwing out that ultimate. Zoe landing a Sleepy Trouble bubble. You can add to that with the Varus ultimate, and in a big 5v5 team fight, find those advantages. With the Urgot locked in, it's immediately responded to by the Tortugas. No need to wait. They knew exactly what they wanted. They grabbed themselves that Nasus for the top lane, so that'll be a pretty beefy 1v1 up there on that top side.
Absolutely. I think Nasus is a pretty interesting pick into Urgot as the game goes later on. Urgot is not someone who struggles with Nasus for the most part. Urgot has a lot of, with the damage he gets out, especially when he builds, like a Black Cleaver, Death's Dance, Frozen Mallet. If he goes for the split push sort of build along with the Righteous Glory, in lane especially, I think Urgot has everything he needs to bully the Nasus out pretty heavily and even set up a freeze. So I think the Nasus pick is pretty interesting, but I'm curious to see how it works out for them. Maybe they look to set up maybe they say, okay, we're going to abandon the top side of the map. It's Nasus. You're going to take care of yourself, farm up, become raid boss. We'll see you at 30 minutes in. We're going to put all of our attention into the mid and bot half of the map. We want the dragons. We want Lux ahead. We have the CC with Braum to collapse. Look, maybe have Braum rotate to the mid lane quite a bit. Plays like that. So far, that's what their draft is saying.
Exactly. We'll see what they decide to do. Both drafts, I think, have some pretty good power points. The one thing, though, from the Tortugas is yet again we're seeing that 3-tank, 2-carry that we've seen for most of today's games. The Nasus, the Braum, the Sejuani being those front lines, the Ezreal and Lux. And when you're running that type of composition, those are the targets. They have a big red circle painted on their back. Kill me, win the game, or at least win a team fight. And when the side of Literal Monkeys has that guaranteed CC of the Nautilus, of the Zoe, well, not Zoe so much, but of the Nautilus that sets up for assassinations like Zoe with that wide range paddle star, they could just burst down that Lux or Ezreal, take away those damage dealers, and then have a chance at winning, as long as it's pre-30 minutes and Nasus isn't absolutely walking over the team.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's going to come down to, right, is how well can they let Nasus farm, and if Literal Monkey says, okay, we're going to put some pressure onto them. We don't want to deal with a raid boss. We're going to have J4, sort of look to keep Nasus down between J4 and Urgot. That's a lot of CC, a lot of guaranteed execution they have, especially because Nasus has no way of escaping like a Cataclysm, for example. But if they do that, they're going to have to sacrifice the whole other side of the map. So really, it's going to come down to where do junglers choose to put their pressure and who executes more efficiently on the plan.
Well, and that is an excellent question, because we've seen some junglers in the games number 1 and 2 of today focusing heavily on that top side or the bottom side, all those J4 ganks in game number 1 from the side of Scum Gang, taking that J4 to the bottom lane to make sure that the Sivir got ahead, helped them out greatly. She got a good enough lead, they delayed the mid game out, got to the late game, she tore apart those team fights, they won the game off of that. We'll see if something similar can happen. Unfortunately, for the side of the Tortugas, I don't think that Ezreal can be quite that much of a carry. Even once he gets on his 2-item spikes, it's not necessarily the free guarantee. We know like a Kale at that 30-minute mark will have that carry online and will be destroying. So it might be more to Sejuani's favor too, as you were talking about. Focus on that top side. Make sure that Nasus at least gets through the laning phase safely, because he doesn't have that much mobility, doesn't have a good escape. It could be easily ulted by the Urgot. Make sure that Nasus has a better laning phase so that he is their late game calling card.
Yeah, well, on Literal Monkeys, right, their team composition is 100% pick comp, right? They have Zoe, they have Varus, they have J4, they have Nautilus, they even have Urgot once Urgot gets Righteous Glory and can run into people. If any form of CC lands, that person is basically marked as dead, right? Because if Sleepy Trouble Bubble connects on any character, Sejuani, Nasus, anyone, they have such good CC rotations available to them from their roster, right? And they have Urgot, who has a percent health-based execution. Whoever they get is basically dead. The only exception, Braum has some counterplay available, being able to block almost all of the CC that Literal Monkeys has to offer. So we're really going to be looking to Raleigh to step up this game and saying, okay, it is my job to keep my team alive, as supports typically have to be. But in this game in particular, Braum is sort of the only answer that the Tortugas have against Literal Monkeys' massive amounts of CC.
Right, and he's going to have to play that tanky front line to make sure that those flying projectiles of the Varus, of the Zoe, even the hook out of the Nautilus do not come through. And even then, you still have Jarvan being that object, flying in with a flag and dragging the Cataclysm to top things off as well. Now, the one thing from the side of Literal Monkeys is that they have a similar-ish composition with 3 tankier champions, the Urgot, the Jarvan, the Nautilus, and their double carries, the Zoe and the Varus. And with that, the difference is, though, that they can run a little bit more bruiser. Urgot and Jarvan definitely want to build a little bit of damage and kind of mix it and blend it with their actual tankiness. The one concern from the side of Literal Monkeys is that if they lose an inhibitor, only the Urgot can respond as wave clear. You look at Zoe, she is not a strong wave clear champion. You look at Jarvan, no. Varus, if he has a Runan's Hurricane, might be considered more, but he's got to be in the team fight, so he can't be on wave clear duty. And with Urgot being that back line who has to sit back and clear those waves, if they lose an inhibitor, that could be a pressure point for the Tortugas to maybe find a way to win out in a 5v4 fight somewhere else on the map, playing around the TP that Urgot has. Very quickly, let's run through the players and their champions, and then to get to more discussion on these, because there's a lot to talk about. For the side of Literal Monkeys, we've got Quest for Ions in the top lane with the Urgot, Pakapal on the Jarvan in the jungle, Why Are You Running with the Zoe in the mid lane, Traxxon taking the Varus in the AD carry role, and Zufo on the Nautilus support. And very quickly, I want to mention that for Ezreal, I just refer to him as Pants.
Yeah, I was going to do either my pants or pants.
Perfect.
So for the side of the Tortugas, we have Tejo on Nasus top lane, Savado running the Sejuani jungle, Grey Anatomy on the Lux mid lane, Pants on Ezreal AD carry, and Raleigh 258 on the Braum support.
There we go. My Pants would also work just fine. So interesting. Oh, shout out! Who were you shouting out?
Zoe, why are you running?
Oh, there we go. Because you were on that team.
Because the team I play for, both locally and online, the name of the team is, in fact, Why Are You Running? So to see a player with a name makes me smile.
Caster bias! Moving on. So, we've discussed Literal Monkeys a little bit, looking at the Tortugas. We've talked about the Sejuani. We've also talked about the top lane. Let's talk about Lux, right? Lux is a champion that started seeing a bit more play in the meta, especially after it was played in the MSI quarter or semifinals by Jensen. I don't know if it was played in finals because I actually have yet to watch all of those games all the way through.
Yeah,
but
no spoilers.
It's kind of coming out as a semi-counter to the Zoe, mostly because the ability to use lots of spells. You have that shield that you can constantly throw out to keep yourself a little bit on the safe side, and once the game gets a little bit past that, 14 to 20 minute mark, her ultimate is on such a fast cooldown. It's a response to Zoe's lack of wave clear. Lux can literally ult the wave and then walk to a different lane because she can clear it so incredibly quickly.
And it's interesting, you were talking about how for literal monkeys, they don't really have much wave clear available to them, but neither do the Tortugas, right? They have Lux, and that's it, right? They have Ultimate Barrage, perhaps, from Ezreal, but other than that, it's just Lux spamming E to try and get rid of minions. If either team gets an inhib, it's extremely difficult for the other team to respond. The only thing is, for the Tortugas, is they can have Nasus sit there, tank the minion wave, and farm up his stacks for basically free. So, could be an advantage depending on how you look at that.
We'll have to see. Now, something we saw in games 1 and 2 of the day between Porosnax and Scum Gang was the fact that even if you broke an inhibitor open, that wasn't a guarantee that you could win the game. In fact, we had lots of inhibitors going down, and yet the game not over for another 10, 15, 20 minutes after those inhibitors fell. So we'll have to keep our eyes in this game with the wave clear difference in these teams, what they can actually do around that, and if it is more impactful. I'm actually curious to see in the meta-wise. It used to be that you crack one inhibitor, you got a great shot at winning. You crack 2 inhibitors, the game's basically over. You know that you're going to crack a 3rd one. But with what we've seen from game 1 and 2 today, I'm starting to question whether that's the case just with the meta as a whole.
Yeah, well, I mean, typically, when you break an inhib, you look to rotate to basically allow the broken inhib to create pressure. What we saw the first 2 games was sort of a lack of letting the supers build up, making someone respond to that and making a play off of that, right? We just saw teams sort of running at each other, as opposed to the more tactical approach of, okay, there's 2 supers crashing into their base, someone has to go respond, let's go start a Baron. We didn't really see that sort of play style coming out. Instead, we saw there's the enemy, let's go get him.
Let's fight! Let's go! The Tigress getting to see the Battle Academia Ezreal skin in action. It's pretty awesome. We had on our stream on Thursday of last week the Battle Academia Prestige Lux skin. Quite the treat to watch. If you are tuning in and are new around here, every Tuesday and Thursday night, we run shoutcasted custom games that viewers can join in, usually teams on a Tuesday night, and open free play games that anyone can play in on Thursday night. So if you're interested in that, feel free to drop a follow. Make sure to hit that notification bell so that way you can be alerted when we go live and be one of the first people to show up, because as it can be first come first serve, the earlier you arrive, the more likely you are to get into one of these hype-casted games. And I'm pretty hype about these games, right? We had some pretty close games in game 1 and 2, but the action kind of pittered around. It wasn't super crazy until the later stages of the game. But this game in particular, you got a Zoe. And when you got a Zoe on the team, or even a Lux, you know they're going to be popping off. They're trying to land the big damage. And it's always super cool to see somebody's health bar go from full to nothing in an instant. And I'm hoping for a bunch of those this game.
Yeah, the one thing though is that in a group sort of setting, it's kind of, if you're the Tortugas, it's kind of scary. You just want to try and run. You can't really run a 1-3-1, so you want to kind of try and run a 1-4, have Nasus in the side wave, infinitely matching the Urgot. Just waiting until the Nasus gets to a point where Urgot isn't a problem anymore. But if you group up as 4 as the Tortugas, it is so terrifying to try and, let's say, siege a tower into the composition that literal monkeys have available to them, right? They have the Zoe, they have a Varus, they have a Nautilus, and a J4. All 4 characters that can abuse you for just taking one step too far in a siege scenario.
Alright, well, we're still sitting in this loading screen. Somebody's warming up their toaster, making sure those hamsters are spinning the wheel super quickly. But this gives us an opportunity to ask the question, the big question that I myself not sure I want to answer. Smartest, if you had to pick a team to win, who would it be and why?
So I'm going to have to say Literal Monkeys is my current choice for this particular game. The reason being is that I think that their composition is just easier to execute off of. They need one person to land one form of CC and the other people to simply just follow up on it, right? The team composition, at least as far as Zoe, and Varus go is, well, it wouldn't be NA without a pause. We're lucky if we're going to get first two games. But if Zoe lands a Sleepy Trouble Bubble or Varus finds an ultimate, all the other people have to do is just throw their abilities at the person hit. Whereas if you are the Tortugas, you have to set up a much more tactical approach. Yes, you have a possible similar option with the binding off of Lux, but it is not nearly. I'll say it's only one option, right? It's the only option they have. Whereas Little Monkeys have more options available to them, right? If you have an Ezreal, a Braum, a Sejuani, it's safer. Ezreal and Braum make it safer. But they could just honestly, if you are Little Monkeys, you can go for, let's say, Sejuani. You're not as concerned because yes, Sejuani is sort of a tank. It's not ideal, but the second a Sleepy Trouble Bubble connects onto Sejuani, allowing for the increased damage, there's no way Sejuani's living. Especially when Varus gets, let's say Gwynso's Rageblade and Runon's Hurricane. There's no way Sejuani can live through that. There's just way too much CC available. You have Nautilus who can go and use ultimate. Like, whoever, if they focus their CC on one person, that person is not moving. There's so much CC available.
Well, and then to top it all off, you've got to play around this Nasus, that kind of idea of a 1-4 composition where he's going to be split pushing the side lanes, but the complexity of being able to know when to TP to join a team fight or when to stay away. We saw that Gangplank in game number 2, attempting to get some split pushing on the bottom side, even securing an inhibitor, but still leaving his team out to dry, them continuously dying over and over in those team fights, giving those advantages to Scum Gang over throughout the course of that game too. I want to see Taiho in this game do a much better job of being able to play around that, but as you say, it definitely adds a layer of complexity. Now, we are waiting on a particular player. I'm not exactly sure which one it is. Ezreal says they can still win the 4v5, so it's somebody on the side of the Tortugas that has a DC that we can blame. Oh, the support. Oh, it's Braum. It's a Braum. Raleigh, how could you do it?
It's Raleigh. It's always the support's fault. Let's be honest. I mean, it's always.
I thought it was always the jungler's fault. I'm confused.
No. See, you're the support, I'm the jungler. Therefore, from my point of view, it's the support's fault.
Oh, and from my point of view, it's always the jungler's fault. That makes a lot of sense. 3,000 IQ right here. Blame somebody else because it's never your fault. I got you.
Never, ever. It wouldn't be League of Legends if people were held accountable for their actions. Let's be honest.
Of course. What game would this be? Overwatch?
Overwatch.
Moving on, the junglers, the Jarvan and the Sejuani, looking at them a little bit more. I would say that I favor the Sejuani a little bit, and the reason why is because she seems to overall have a bit tankier stats to be able to come into the game. Also, as we saw in game number 1, the CC chains that she can pull off are so incredibly nice, whereas the J4, he's got a knock-up, and that's about it. But that said, if Pakapal finds an edge, if he's able to start scaling some damage, his burst potential when he lands the Flag and Drag ultimate, plus any Tiamat that he builds, is going to be huge, and so he could win straight-up 1v1s if he's found an item advantage over the Sejuani.
Yeah, I think that, so, you were asking me earlier who I think is favored, and I definitely stick with the Little Monkeys being favored. I think for them, I'll go through both sides. For Pakapal, I really want to see him focusing on the bot side of the map. I actually want him to leave Urgot into the Nasus lane and let that play out, and I want him to get Varus a lead. I want him to focus on creating a snowball there because Varus Nautilus is a very powerful lane. You give them a lead, and they will take that lead and push it forward. Now, for Savato, right? For Red Team, I want to see Savato actually focus around mid lane. I want to see him get Lux a lead. If he is able to get Lux a lead, they can take that lead and look for 4-man gigs. Right? Lux's ultimate, obviously being one of those ultimates in the league that starts scaling to the point where the cooldown is basically non-existent. Oh, as we actually see a grouping here from Little Monkeys, maybe a possible spicy invade for the first time today coming in.
Yeah, looking for that top lane. Now, what usually happens is they drop a ward and then immediately go in afterwards. They don't have anyone that level 2 could guarantee CC. However, a quick ward and then a hook by Nautilus should do it. They also might have Zoe with the Sleepy Trouble Bubble as well. However, the Nasus, while he was headed up here initially, is actually going to be just walking
double
away from him, hiding. Oh, it is! So Nasus is behind this red buff at the moment is we've got all 4 members on the opposite side of the map. This is really, really interesting. Now, there's a worry from the side of Literal Monkeys. If they just go to walk home right now, they're seen. Oh. So Taiho knows that's what's happening. He's going to walk around the corner. They see this Nasus here. The Sleepy Treble's going to land. There's the Nautilus hook as well. Goodbye, Nasus. First blood to Zoe of all people. Why are you running? Happy to run back to the base with a bunch of gold in their pocket. Might actually just stick around in mid lane.
Yeah, that was getting it onto either Traxxon or while you're running was ideal in that scenario. So it's great that Zoe was able to pick that up. So we're going to see both junglers matching the opposite. Now Little Monkeys don't know if Savato started on blue side's red buff or red side's blue buff. So it could be they have to be careful. They have no vision on that side of the map. So we'll see how far this vertical jungling sort of goes. See Sejuani starting Raptors up. J4 actually pathing back into the his side of the jungle. So actually, this gives Savato an edge because he's going to be up a camp.
Indeed. Now, the J4 level 2 could have tried to make a play on the Lux, was considering it for a moment, but Grey Anatomy seemed to be playing pretty safe with that wave, so did not dive in. Top laners have arrived again, and the Urgot has a pretty good CS lead at the moment, 6 CS over Nasus, who's been playing defensively so far after dying super early, can kind of shake you up a little bit. He needs to just brush it off and get in there and start farming those stacks.
Yeah, but he didn't expend Flash or Teleport, so he still has all summoners available to him, which is crucial.
Sejuani has returned to her own jungle at this point. I think that the Raptor camp, if I check really quickly, only has a small Raptor camp left, so a sad little Raptor, but should be quickly cleared by J4 as he walks by, and he'll know that the Sejuani spent a little bit more time in his own jungle.
Yeah, and like I said, this does give Sejuani a bit of an XP/camp lead because J4 will be missing his Raptors, and Sejuani will have her Raptors, giving technically a 2-camp lead. So, will allow Sejuani, if optimally path, to hit 6 before as they do meet each other.
Yeah, junglers are going to meet. Both have double buffs as well. Pocket Paul flashing first, forcing the flash from Savato. Back and forth they go. No jungler deaths at the moment. It's just going to be those flashes expended.
Yeah, and I like the flash out of Savato there because if he hadn't flashed there and had gotten knocked out by the flag and drag, Zoe would have been able to land a Sleepy Trouble Bubble there, and that would have guaranteed Savato's death.
Playing it safe. It's better to burn the flashes early than too late because you will be dead. So some pings into the mid lane by the Sejuani. She may be coming in here. Let's see what Savato can do. Doesn't have flash, but gets the Arctic Assault onto the Zoe. They're looking for the stun. It's going to come through. Lux is here. The E is going to be flashed by Zoe, so she burns her own flash there. It's great. Now he's still sitting on his flash, but with that Lux not taking Ignite, it's not quite as an aggressive mid lane. J4, though, going to be hiding around the corner, is caught out by the vision, but a great rush by the Sejuani again gets out.
That was either a very lucky ward or 200 IQ because he reacted very well to them. The second he dropped and saw him, he instantly dashed away, getting himself to safety. Really good reaction time there from Savato.
Oh, hook by Nautilus in the bottom lane, but it's immediately jumped by the Ezreal. Just hops away for the moment. Varus is still going to be coming in and getting a little bit of poke down. Poke has been traded. Earlier, the Varus got chunked down a little bit. He's been able to heal up, but the Ezreal's turn to be poked a bit.
And this is the thing, right? Nasus is going to lose. He's going to be down CS in this lane because you have a ranged champion versus a melee champion. It's just sort of how it goes early on. But after the initial back, Nasus basically, like, he won't really be losing much of his health. With the built-in lifesteal off of Soul Eater, he's just going to be able to infinitely farm, and Urgot's not going to be able to stop him. Even now, Urgot's trying so hard to harass him down, and Nasus is just sustaining most of it back up. Hasn't even used his HP pot yet.
Yeah, very difficult to just poke down a Nasus. The only way to do it is to go all in. You're looking for getting the toss back. You're looking to burn as much damage as you can and then throw out that ultimate for the execution if you're that Urgot. Something to keep your eyes on as well is the Corrupting Potion is used all of its stacks by that Urgot on the top side. He's going to get some good poke down like you're talking about, but he doesn't have that ultimate available. Still only level 5, so can't go in just yet. In the bottom lane, the Nautilus is here. Lands the hook, and the jungler showing up as well. J4 helping to CC that Braum. Pick up a second kill for Literal Monkeys, starting the game off 2-0.
What I like, though, is that both junglers have been doing exactly what they needed to do, right? Earlier, we saw Savato ganking mid lane, and we just saw Pakapal ganking bot lane. They have been exactly where they needed to be. And you just love seeing that from junglers when they know, like, okay, this would be the best place for me to put my pressure in this game. Neither one of them. Oh, well, now you Sejuani look rotating back up a little bit here, kind of risky because Nasus did just hit 6, and now they do have ultimates available.
And Savado's coming into the top side, finds the rush to knock up the Urgot for a moment. A little bit of CC. Taiho's coming in. They've got the stun as well. They're not going to dive the turret though. So Taiho walks away empty-handed, but just happy to push Quest for Ions out of the lane for a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, because Nasus landed the Wither there, I don't think Sejuani needed to utilize the Winter's Wrath yet. I think he could have opted to look for the dash in first, guaranteeing its connection. Sleepy Trouble Bubble doesn't quite find the mark.
But the Zoe does know Sejuani's around the corner, mostly because J4 is sitting in a brush, keeping eyes on where this jungler is. So both junglers doing a good job so far this game, being able to tell where the enemy team jungler is, and being able to respond very well. We've got about 1,000 gold lead for Literal Monkey so far, but a lot of that is off of these kills onto the Zoe, onto the Varus. However, Varus falling about 15 CS behind this Ezreal. Should be able to catch up a little bit as Ezreal has backed and finished off both the Tier and the Sheen for the early game.
So the one thing to keep in mind in this matchup in the bot lane, though, is post 6, Varus Nautilus have the advantage 100%. That's when they sort of come online. They have the CC chain available to them. Right, Nautilus really enters into his world where he can keep someone locked down when Wither comes in.
Onto the Urgot. He's going to dash away for the moment. The rest of the team is trying to collapse in, but Lux may be here first. If she lands the binding, Urgot's in trouble. She's going to miss it! What? Sleepy Time from the Zoe. Going to be blocked by the Nasus. Well, Sleepy Time going to be hitting the Lux, but the Paddle Star blocked by Nasus, and everyone disengages. That Lux missing the light binding was absolutely crucial to Urgot escaping.
Yeah, that was really the playmaking, or I should say, play guaranteeing play there, ability there. I can learn to talk. If that connected, that would have been a brawl and a half that was about to go down.
But as it is, no brawl is going to happen. Everyone just kind of walking away for a moment. Keep your eyes on that Urgot in that top lane, pushing 30 CS lead over this Nasus. Despite being shoved out, didn't die. And Sill's keeping that CS lead. Now going in for a little bit of damage. He's got that ultimate as well. If he gets Taiho low enough, you can be sure he's going to be tossing that out, looking for that kill.
Yeah, and now notice how Varus just hit 6, and Nautilus is close to 6 too.
Yeah, Varus ultimate going to be tossed out. We'll see if the chains are able to land. They root at the Braum for a moment. The J4's here. You get the Cataclysm as well. Nautilus steals it away. Zufo going to apologize to a teammate for that one, but they still find themselves third kill, 3-0, and a 2,000 gold lead.
And that's exactly what I was talking about, right? The amount of CC these three have between them is exactly why this is where J4 should be putting his pressure. All it takes is one CC connection to lane, right? Even though Nautilus missed the hook, the Varus ultimate came in and guaranteed the kill regardless of that, right? The Flag and Drag came in, locked the Braum down into place, and there was just nothing he could do there.
And that's what Raleigh gets for DCing this game. 0-2 start and a struggle for sure. And the thing about the Braum, right? He wants to be tanky. He wants to be able to get that Knight's Vow for the Ezreal. He wants to be able to absorb all those projectiles being tossed out by the Varus and the Zoe. However, if you're consistently being killed off, yeah, it's not as great as taking out the enemy team ADC, who's 10 CS lead over your Varus. You're still able to shut down that tank and delay him actually being there for the team, as Quest for Ions might be getting jumped on the top lane. Can Grey Anatomy land the binding this time? Doesn't even toss it out. Some time wasted by the Lux in the top lane.
I'm not really sure what just happened.
Yeah, never saw.
Decided that Urgot was too far in the lane and decided that they wouldn't have been able to, didn't have enough damage to fully kill him. So decided, you know what, let's not risk the play here. We don't know where J4 is. He could be up here by now. Let's not risk this play, and maybe the call was made to back off.
And again, though, from the side of the Tortugas, that Lux should be pushing this Zoe underneath her turret and making those roams. But when the roams mean nothing, you're not stopping Zoe from doing anything. And Zoe has a 10 CS lead, or getting close to a 10 CS lead over the Lux. The rest of the team are going to join the flash. The hook just misses.
Rest.
I would say, even though that missed, it was worth by Zufo, because if it had landed, that would have been a guaranteed kill.
Disdain does land.
Taiho down to about half on the top side, continuing to get shoved underneath the turret, and the CS lead by the Urgot continues to grow minute to minute. Bottom lane, it's still a little bit of an advantage for the Ezreal. He's still hanging around with that Braum, only sitting on that Tyr and Sheen, trying to stack those.
And this is a situation every top laner knows. You're playing Urgot, the enemy laner of junglers finding what a connection right there.
Oh, great rush by Savado to be able to get out of the Cataclysm from J4. So that big engage tool going to be down for a little bit. And now that the Sejuani's headed towards this bottom side, Varus and the Nautilus, both with ultimates available, going to start to back up. They see the Sejuani. Braum's going to flash forward to try to land the ultimate. Glacial Fissure going to be good, at least seeing the Nautilus for the moment, but he's going to hook to the turret. And now the Varus damage going to come through. Lux, however, heads to the bottom lane, lands a light biting onto the Varus, throws out the final spark, but he walks away. Are you kidding me? That heal comes through as well, so it will be burned, but he lives in a situation that he should not have gotten out of.
Yeah, Lux waited way too long to throw ultimate there. If Lux just threw the ultimate there, that would have been a guaranteed kill.
Oh my gosh, Grey's Anatomy, one of those main damage dealers for the side of the Tortugas, has not been showing up this game. Between a failed gank in the top lane, not responding well in the mid lane, and now a easy kill in the bottom lane to lose as well. This is tragedy for the Tortugas, and they need to shore up these weaknesses, especially in a best-of-3 series. You got to be able to say, you know what, even if game number 1 we lose, let's note where we did poorly and come back for game number 2, because at the moment, literal Monkeys just looks like they're outplaying the Tortugas on a player-to-player level.
Yeah, it's pretty BM when you can say you lost to literal monkeys, huh?
You know what? In yesterday's games, literal monkeys seem to be mashing the right buttons, even if they are monkeys sitting behind the desk. You know what? If you only got 4 buttons to press, eventually you'll be landing those kills. And so far, they've been doing that, about 2,000 gold lead. There is a Windrake to start the game off. Wow, that Paddle Star... Hopefully, Lux was actually shopping, because I might have to change my pants if I was that Lux after that.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been all fine and well, but yeah, definitely would have almost canceled the back there. So Ezreal now does have the Mana Moon completed along with the Sheen, so he will start doing quite a bit more damage. That can just auto to start stacking it up, doesn't have to expend Qs if he doesn't want to. So it can be a lot more conservative with his mana from here on out, can look to just poking her ass. Honestly, though, they should be looking to just get plates here. They should just be using the the Ezreal Arcane Flex Mystic Shot combination. Just put damage down onto the turret, get plates, and look to pull Sejuani down onto the dragon. But I think here I would like to see the Tortugas bot lane rush this wave and rotate up to that dragon. As Sejuani actually pulled off of it, just cleared vision.
Yeah, may have been unwilling to, or maybe it might be the bottom lane was unwilling to roam up, wanting to continue this pressure down there, and so because of that, they didn't have the time to roam up and get that Windrake. But as I say that, they start to head up there. Sejuani's going to walk right past the Windrake again. Now, it's not the most impressive Windrake, but we saw from this morning, or earlier this afternoon's games 1 and 2, especially 1 with the triple and Windrakes. That movement speed bonus that you get can be incredible. But no team focusing on the Windrake just yet. J4 and Zoe kind of walking by to check out what's going on down here on this bottom side.
Yeah, and you see how Nasus respects the amount of CC that Little Monkeys have available to them. Even though he's laning against an Urgot, he is opting for Merc Treads here, which was an interesting pickup pretty early on. I don't know if I would have been as concerned about CC this early on. I think Tier 1 boots would have done just fine, and then opted for more sustain-based items. But either way, Sejuani doing the odd one special here.
Trying to sneak into the bottom lane, has the ultimate available. We'll see if the Glacial Tomb can land. It will not even be called out. And so, again, there's just a lot of attempts by the different teams, especially the Tortugas, that don't really net them any valuable resources.
Yeah, and that ward just being barely
Oh, J4 going to throw out that Cataclysm. The ultimate from the Nautilus going to lock up both members. However, the J4 is losing health way too quickly. Savado picks that up. Now they can out the Nautilus. That will be Zufo falling as well. And a beautiful response from the Tortugas to J4's aggression. I got to give credit to Raleigh's Unbreakable for basically absorbing every amount of damage that was thrown there.
That's exactly what we're talking about in Champ Select, right? And we were looking to Raleigh to really play the decision-making factor in these fights where he can absorb so much of the damage that Little Monkeys can offer. Especially when, we look at the bot lane matchup where it's Nautilus and Varus.
Yeah, you see that choke point and you're thinking, ooh, this could be bad. However, Ezreal has an arcane shift to get out of the Cataclysm by the J4, and then Braum, who's inside of it, not only has a Cataclysm that nobody can walk past, but is unbreakable, just seals off the wall, says nobody gets past this. In the top lane, the Urgot ultimate will be thrown out. However, Nasus burns his own to make sure he doesn't get low enough health for Urgot to find that execution. Now Sejuani's around the corner. Bottom lane turret gonna fall for the Tortugas as well. They've gotten themselves first turret of the game. They're evening up the gold and maybe even going to lead it. The CC comes through onto Quest for Ions. The Urgot's desperately trying to escape. He had flash available, but chose not to use it and will go down because of it.
Yeah, also, he could have killed a Nasus. He backed off of Nasus to kill a minion, like the cannon minion, when about 2 to 3 more hits off of his W, his machine gun, would have guaranteed the execute. So some interesting decision making from Quest for Ions there.
Yeah, I'm
Maybe,
really curious
didn't
about
find the
that.
Ions he was looking for.
Between not finishing off the Nasus they got so close to, and then not burning his flash. There doesn't seem to be any reason. The Sejuani didn't have ultimate. It was used in the bottom lane, as well as you even have burned through all of her CC. So it's not like you could be afraid of being CC'd any further. You could flash away, you still have your full health, and you can keep a potential edge over this Nasus. Even with 50 CS, he still has a small lead, but that is closed a bit by Nasus having picked up that kill.
And we just saw Paka, Paul, and Zufo pull off of the dragon that was already under 50% HP. Without anyone actually coming in to contest it. So really a lot of caution from both teams this game, where they sort of start a play and then say, oh, whoa, let's back off of this one.
They're unwilling to commit 100% to those plays, and that can be the difference between a game win or loss, because if you don't have the guts to pull off 100% play, even if you end up losing it, the passivity that can happen can give that pressure to the other team, as we're seeing Urgot potentially falling again on this top side. Sejuani coming in, gets the Arctic Assault. The final ultimate from Urgot gets the Fear of the Sejuani as well. Will flash away, but the ultimate called out. Glacial Prison by the Sejuani tries to flash in. The shield comes through for Quest for Ions. Is the Urgot going to escape? He's pulled the Sejuani underneath the turret, and she backs away. Quest for Ions comes out of the lead once again. Ezreal ultimate flies on through. True Shot Barrage won't take down the Wind Drake. The Ezreal is here though. Final Spark is flashed. J4 lives, but the Ezreal steals away the Wind Drake. The Cataclysm is going from J4, but he's already dead. The rest of the team trying to collapse, but members are dropping on the side of literal monkeys. The Varus is going to fall. Zoe is here, trying to get a little bit more poke onto the Lux. The CC is down. She steals a flash and tries to use it, but still can't get in range in time and falls. A Grey Anatomy lives with pixels on the health. 7 kills to 4, and a fantastic win for the Tortugas in the bottom side around the Wind Drake.
Yeah, if you are Zoe, you're upset. You are very upset that Lux did not die there.
Hashtag tilted.
Hashtag tilted indeed. The auto from Lux over the wall, right, which connected after Zoe jumped in, guaranteed the kill and secured Lux's own life. That was so close. I mean, even if Lux died there, it still wouldn't have mattered. They still would have came out completely on top of that. But still, 1 kill would have been nice if you're the Tortugas. Or sorry, if you are literal monkeys.
Now, they did get a kill on the top side of the map. That Urgot doing an amazing job outplaying in a 1v2 situation, getting the kill on Nasus and then escaping. We were busting him for not using that flash earlier to survive the Sejuani gank. However, when he comes back in, uses it effectively. Maybe it's 3000 IQ prediction. I don't know. But either way, a fantastic showing from Quest for Ions once again on this top side. And now he's going to be joined by J4. They might be going in for this Nasus, who's looking just a way too squishy. Down to about half health. He's trying to clear up a couple of minions. The tower is low, so the Urgot goes ahead and starts it up. We'll clear it down. Braum is here, though. The Ezreal True Shot Barrage going to slide on by. Take down the J4. Goodbye, Urgot, as he's trying to escape as well. Couple more shots won't do it. And the double kill to Ezreal as Pants is starting to stack up 4-0 and 4.
This is a big mistake a lot of junglers and top laners make in those sorts of situations. When you're in that sort of situation where good damage you guys are coming down, when you're in a sort of situation where you have a tower that's at roughly, like, let's say 500 HP there, you don't need to engage the 20-minute Baron play coming in.
Yeah, Baron's barely been on the Rift for 30 seconds, and the Tortugas say, you know what, we killed that jungler, he went down earlier, let's go ahead and start it up, we'll see if we have enough damage coming through. The Zoe and the Nautilus are around here, so they know this is happening. Battlestar is going to miss completely. The J4 is trying to close, but I don't know if it's going to be fast enough. The Varus is coming in, but the Baron is underneath 700, it's smited away. It's actually a Q by Nasus that cleans it up, but now the members have to actually escape with it. The Drowsy comes through the Cataclysm from J4, he's dropped so low so quickly. The CC from Nautilus is good, but the kills aren't there. Zoe finally finds one onto the Braum. The True Shot Barrage from Ezreal, though, will stop her in her tracks, taking her down. And now the Varus and the Nautilus have to run. Urgot's here, though. We'll see what he can do. It's a 1-for-2 trade so far. Sejuani on the run, and the members of the Tortugas get away with 4 Barons.
I don't know how Nasus didn't get hit by that Lux ult. Or not Nasus, I'm sorry. No, how he didn't get hit by the Battlestar. Like, it totally looked like the Battlestar should have connected on a Nasus there.
Yeah, pretty insane stuff. But again, advantages for the Tortugas. Something happened at the 18-minute mark, and they just came online. They grouped, and they're finding these advantages. They're finding these kills. They're finding the neutral objectives. I have to say, a huge credit to that Ezreal stealing away the Windrake in the bottom lane. This started things off, allowed for the quick collapse in the top lane, and then whoever made the call to start the Baron had in their head the numbers down right, because they were able to burn the Baron down before the members of Literal Monkeys could actually collapse and try to find a fight. In the end, they got one off of the enemy team. I believe it was Jungler. But that is about it. And things are looking rough for Literal Monkeys, down 5,000 gold at the 22-minute mark.
Absolutely. And what I was saying to earlier before the very unexpected 20-minute Baron came into play is that when you're in a situation where the tower is very low, it's a 500 HP, and you are the jungler, when you come in, you don't need to engage onto the laner. All you have to do is go immediately at the tower. Don't take aggro. Just hit the tower. It'll take 2 autos from both of the team members, and then you can look to make a play engage or decide if you want to disengage because you're afraid more members might be coming. There, they took way too long because they juggled the aggro of the tower. Urgot take like 5 hits to the tower, and then J4 tried to go onto the Nasus there.
Rough
bit of a backstop, but just a quick note from earlier that crucial things to look out for and things to do when you are either the top laner or the jungler in your own games.
Kill turrets first. Want to check in while we got a little bit of a quieter moment. Look at the vision from the side of the Tortugas, invading deep into the enemy team's jungle, making sure they're getting these wards down everywhere. There's a little bit from Little Monkeys on the bottom side, dropping some of those control wards, trying to wrestle for that vision. However, the second Windrake can be started up by the Tortugas immediately after it spawns, and they should be able to pick this up as no one from Little Monkeys around to contest it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, today has been very Cloud Drake friendly. We've seen many Cloud Drakes today. Already 2 Cloud Drakes on the map, and a third one coming in again for the next dragon.
Looks like the Tortugas want to brew up a storm, just like we saw Scum Gang do earlier today. The fight going to start off around the mid lane, second tier turret, as the poke comes through from this Ezreal and Lux. That's something that both of them do have on the side of the Tortugas. Their carries can poke for a while, so with this Baron buff, they can happily sit here and siege, and it's going to be on this Zoe and Varus to actually clear these waves as they come in with that Baron buff. Oh, they might have cut out the Zoe. She's going to flash the final spark. Is going to drop her low. It doesn't quite kill her yet, but Zufo is also the Nautilus under about 300 health, and Nasus is coming around from the side. Taiho picking his time to enter the fray. We'll see what he decides to do. He was pushing that top lane second tier. Looks like he's going to go ahead and back and start that up again.
Yeah, and Nasus is actually setting on Trinity as well as another component. So, I mean, I think if you're here at this point, you rotate with your team as Nasus and look for a reset. Or just clear the next wave, and I want to see Nasus reset here. Because he's sitting on 2.3k gold. Trinity Force is really important. Oh, it's another double binding connect.
From the Lux, that Zoe might be dropping low. The Nautilus was the target, but he's going to flash away for the moment. The Braum ultimate going to knock people up, but is it going to be enough? Zoe True Shot Barrage is going to force her out of the fight. Urgot is gone. Savato claims the Urgot's life. And with that kill, they could reset, but they don't have the Baron buff anymore, so sieging is going to be a little bit more difficult. And this wave doesn't contain a cannon minion, as we're still only at the 25-minute mark to this game. The middle inhibitor, though, going to be started up. The J4 down to about half. The final spark from Lux gonna miss completely. Great Anatomy low on mana. The Nautilus finds a hook onto the Braum, but again, he's playing a beautiful frontline tank as the Nasus on that top side without anyone to deal with him. Takes down that second tier, giving a bit more gold to the Tortugas. And what we didn't see there was that play and that knowledge from the side of Tortugas. They didn't need to worry about busting that mid-tier turret. They were simply distracting literal monkeys from the free pushing Nasus on the top side.
Absolutely. And, you know, before we were mentioning how the person who has the kit to deal with Little Monkey's team is Raleigh, is, you know, Braum being able to put up a shield, block so much of the damage, and this is exactly how we're seeing him execute. He's playing this game so very well. He has blocked such an insane amount of damage in these fights. Arguably taking at least half of the damage available to him. We've seen him block so many Sleepy Trouble Bubbles, so many Paddle Stars, all the Varus Qs. He's just, I'm really, it's just so satisfying when you see a Braum played this well.
I'll try to take a couple of notes, and when you look at the lineup from the Tortugas, something key to check out on their stats, right? The Nasus, super tank, he's got the Frozen Heart, also has the Trinity Force to clear if he wants to split push. Bramble Vest for the tankiness, 1, 2, and 3, 2 deaths, right? The Braum, 1, 3, and 10. 3 deaths, super tank, all his items focus on tank except for the redemption, which is those heals for his team. Then look at the not quite carries, but carry for the Sejuani, if you will. 2-0 and 4, 3-0 and 4, 5-0 and 6, not a single death, all with bounties on their head. This distribution between the team of the Tortugas on who has the kills and who is staying alive is excellent between, you know what, we'll let the tanks die because that's their job. They're the front line, that's what they do, and our carries are just going to keep getting kills, keep stacking up, and find massive gold advantages as we are about 9,000 gold lead for the Tortugas and their positioning around Baron.
And let's not forget that Nasus now has 531 stacks.
Ooh.
So he is going to hit like a truck.
He's got teleport up as well. He's facing off against Urgot. 1v1 in the bottom lane for the moment. The Lux binding just going to land onto the blue buff. Not going to do that much. Just kind of clear that up a little bit of extra poke from the side of the Tortugas. So Serrani wants this. Zoe, though, she used the ultimate already. Goodbye! Pant's damage is insane. And with that pick up, I don't know if they're going to immediately start the Baron, but they can feel a bit more confident if they do. And it looks like the Baron is exactly what they want.
Yeah, we do have Pakapal here trying to look for a steal play.
Pakapal, the only member from Literal Monkeys here. The rest of the team from Tortugas could just turn and try to kill him. He's positioning around the blast cone. It's going to be popped, so he's not going to have an easy way in, but he's still going to have the flag and drag available if he wants to try to sneak his way in. Braum here looking for the stun, making sure that J4 can't try to get a 50-50 smite fight. J4 simply doesn't care for the moment. He's just going to keep positioning around. He jumps forward, but whoa! The damage coming out of this Ezreal over the wall in combination with a Sejuani ultimate. Goodbye, J4. Sejuani smites away the Baron. Savado doing an amazing job this game.
I think Tortugas are just going to look to push this in now. Like, they between the Lux and Ezreal, they have so much damage, but they can just stay here infinitely. You have a blue buff on your Ezreal, so he can just spam his abilities as much as he wants to. You have level 16 Lux, which means that her ultimate's on an extremely low cooldown.
Wave clear going to be pretty
Cooldown
easy
of
for them.
35 seconds.
They've got that cannon minion. They're starting to poke away a couple minions for them to clear first. In the bottom side, Nasus moving into the second tier turret. Zoe losing a massive amount of health, is able to sidestep the True Shot Barrage. So Nautilus takes a big chunk of health for that. That mid lane first tier turret, inhibitor turret, excuse me, gonna fall. The inhibitor up next, and members of Literal Monkeys, again, the passivity that's going on right now, no one is willing to make it engage, even if it doesn't lead you in getting kills. The entire game has been the same thing for the side of Literal Monkeys, unwilling to make these plays. They get a little bit of hook onto Braum. He's just gonna hop over the wall with the command protect, but now the Urgot, he's got the ultimate, takes down the Nasus. What can they do? The J4 Cataclysm gonna lock two members up, and the Lux final spark is through the entire team of Literal Monkeys. They are falling one by one. The J4 drops. Urgot gets a shield, but it doesn't matter because Ezreal is going to get the double kill. And now they can move in with the Baron empowered minions. A 4v3. Sejuani's diving deep. The turret shot will probably take the board down. No, it won't. The kills are reset. Pentakill for the Ezreal. His damage is just too insane. Pants comes out way on top, and the Tortugas will smash through this game. 19 kills to 6. They say, you know what, Scum Gang? We watched you earlier today, and we will raise you a 30-minute game.
Yeah, and I remember I once casted a game where my play-by-play caster said something along the lines of, "Oh, I'm worried the Ezreal might not have enough damage."
I don't know what you're talking about. Obviously, that caster needs to go back to numbers school and figure out what he was talking about there, because this Ezreal proved that caster wrong. We'll call it caster curse. You know, this Ezreal proving the caster wrong. Pant's doing an amazing job. 11-0-7 was nearly full build at that point in the game. Amazing.
Yeah, really well played by them. Honestly, it was such a clean execution. You know, they didn't take fights they didn't need to take. They just slowly took a little bit here, a little bit there, and just snowballed that lead forward. Every time someone stepped out of place, even though Little Monkeys had the pick comp, they were finding themselves getting picked by the split push comp of Nasus the 1-4.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is when you're safely making those moves, right? Like a good meal, you don't want to be shoving it all down your throat at the same time because you choke. Haha, Team Liquid. What you want to be able to do is take those small bites, and they did exactly that. Bite by bite, chew by chew, they just chomped away. Now, I gotta say, on the side of Little Monkeys, they had some good opportunities. Quest for Ions showing up on the Urgot in the top lane did very, very well. Even at the end of the game, the desperation play on the Nasus still found the kill and a 4-man fear. Things were good there. However, the rest of the team, Traxon, 1, 2, and 4, really struggled to make anything happen that game. Zufo, the support, just couldn't, even though he did land some CC here and there, that Ezreal made it so difficult because he just kept arcane shifting away every time that he was hooked. So it might be that if Little Monkeys want to strike back in game number 2, they just have to ban the Ezreal.
Absolutely, and you know, we're saying that, oh, this Ezreal, look at this Ezreal's a monster popping off, but you know, we have to mention the fact that Raul is really the one who set him up to be in that position. And he played these team fights so very well, and again, we were talking about it before the game of, you know, we're really looking to Raleigh this game to be the deciding factor in a lot of these fights because he has the kit to deal with the enemy team.
Yeah, insane stuff there. Anything else that you want to see between these two teams before we get into game number 2 in just a moment?
So I liked Pakapal's attempts to focus on the bot side of the map. I think I would have liked to see him sort of carry that forward a little bit more. You know, while he had some good attempts, didn't find a ton of success. So I want to see, you know, maybe whether it's more pink vision coming down from both Paka and Zufo, or maybe some different routes to come up with. If they're going to elect for this sort of composition again, I really want to see Pakapal put a lot more effort into that outside of the map.
All right, we're going to take a very quick break and come back with game number 2 in just a moment. Stick around because we've got to find ourselves if it's going to be a double 2-0 day or if the side of Literal Monkeys are going to finally find themselves a first game. We'll be right back.